they'd be looking for the board to continue to be aware of and potentially to have a role in going forward. So we'll turn to those things after the review and approval of the minutes from the May 5th meeting. May I request a motion and a second on the minutes?
This is Naomi, so moved.
This is Elise, second.
Okay, any amendments or discussion about the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of the minutes? Aye.
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 I think we have unanimous approval on the minutes, which is a great way to build momentum. I think you'd all agree. So now let me turn it over to President Ojakian for discussion on some of the issues going on. And I know also many of you may have seen the statement, and we'll want to hear about our latest conversation with the accreditors concerning the Students First initiative as well. President Ojakian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, everybody. Going to be giving you this morning an update on where we are with the consolidation of the community colleges, and then an update on where we are with Reopen Connecticut. I will be giving a brief remarks, happy to answer any questions. We intend to have a much fuller presentation for the full board at the end of July, when we are closer to reopening and when all of our plans will have been, I assume, submitted for phase 3 of Reopen. We have a finance committee meeting scheduled as well between now and the full board meeting, at which time we'll have a very robust conversation on where we are in terms of our financial status. But I'm happy to give a brief report here this morning and entertain any questions. And members of my team are on the phone and can answer questions in more detail than perhaps I may be able to. I just want to echo, to start with, Mr. Chairman, your remarks. This has really been an unprecedented time, not only for Connecticut, but for our institutions and for our system. And the incredible work that's been done by the team at the system office, navigating all these variables as we move forward has been really extraordinary, as well as the leaders on all the campuses, as well as the faculty and staff who have worked across campus on steering committees on their own campus in terms of reopening plans. So the effort that has been given across our system has been extraordinary, and I want to thank everybody for their efforts to this point. In terms of the consolidation efforts, as folks know, on June 23rd, the chairman and I joined Dr. David Levinson and his team in a meeting virtually with the NECHI commissioners to really highlight the progress we've made since our visit last year, to respond to the information requests they had as a follow-up to last year, and also to answer any questions that they had about the status of our consolidation. In addition, we had the opportunity to discuss our response to public comment that had been submitted to NECHI. And folks have been made aware of what our system-wide response was to the public comment that had been submitted. I'm particularly pleased that the commission accepted that response, was satisfied that the official response and the answers to the questions that they raised had satisfied them, and basically consider the matters raised in the public public comment as being closed. As I mentioned at the last meeting, and as I was quick to point out in the public statement that was issued by Dr. Barbara Brittingham of NECHI and myself, Dr. Levinson and his team at the Connecticut State Community College are available to meet with interested groups to provide more information, particularly about the draft organizational charts and to gather input into the future structure. So I will continue to encourage those who have questions, ideas, concerns to reach out, schedule time for discussion. Dr. Levinson will also be proactively reaching out to campuses and constituencies on campuses to schedule those conversations. In accepting our report, the commission asked us to come back next year in April of 2021. They would like to see more specific information about the system of internal governance for the college. And as you know, there is a committee of the consolidation effort specifically tasked with internal governance. So we should have much more information and a proposed structure by that point in time. They wanted an update on current projected enrollment for the new college, and then some more specific budget information for the new Connecticut State Community College. We now that we have the senior leadership structure in place, the specific budget is being developed, and we will be, I think, in great shape to be responsive to their budget questions when we go back in April 2021. As we always had anticipated and look forward to, the commission will monitor the current 12 separately accredited community colleges until such time as it approves a substantive change request for the single Connecticut State Community College. So I thought it was a very positive visit with the commission. The joint statement that Dr. Brittingham suggested that we put out, I think reflected the sort of the tone and of the substance of the conversations that we have, and look forward to continuing the incredible work that's being done in anticipation of submitting our substantive change request. So that's a general overview of where we are with the consolidation effort, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone among the regents have questions? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And
Thank
then secondly, as we've already both commented on, this has been an extremely busy time to plan for our institutions to reopen in the fall. As you know, there was an original state plan issued for reopening of higher education institutions. That plan has seen revisions as time has gone on. The original guidance I issued to all public and private institutions of higher education, I believe at the end of May, has changed 7 times. I've issued 7 updates to that based on the public health variations that we've received in terms of guidance around testing and other public health protocols. We will continue to update on a weekly basis our community in hopes of keeping people informed as we moved forward. The updates I've issued, along with all of the Reopen Connecticut higher education reports, Steering committee efforts can be found on our website. Plans to reopen have to be submitted at the beginning of August and filed with the Department of Public Health, as well as with me. Not only our own system plans, but also plans of UConn and the private institutions here in Connecticut. The colleges and universities have started to call staff back to campus to prepare for the students' arrival in August. Their plans for bringing students back will follow the guiding framework for reopening in the fall, with submissions due, as I indicated, in early August. We had an opportunity on Tuesday to be part of a virtual informational forum with the higher education committee, where we put forward our reopening plans for the system and entertain questions that the committee members had. We're also being invited to an appropriations virtual forum over the next couple of weeks, where we will talk about the financial implications that we face as a system as we move forward. I want to thank President Toro and CEO Harris for being on the phone on call for that. It was a very, 20 minutes for a presentation, 20 minutes for questions. And so I think there were a lot of questions that members had that we will be following up with them to answer, their questions. I want to assure the members of the executive committee that this has been an extremely participatory and transparent process, and that, as I indicated at the last board meeting, the steering committees had representation on them from all constituencies of 2- and 4-year institutions. The goal remains to the health of our students, faculty, staff, and everyone who works on our campus is a priority. At the same time, we must ensure that students and the states get the high quality educational opportunities that they deserve. Just a couple of quick comments related to budget. As you know, the budget that the board adopted last month had certain assumptions. It assumed at the universities, for example, a 10% reduction in enrollment, which would require us to tap into university reserves by $33 million. Preliminary indications on enrollment, and we'll have more to report at the full board meeting as this is sort of a fluid process. But I think we are seeing folks, institutions below the 10% reduction mark so far. Slightly encouraged that those numbers remain on target for final sort of audit on enrollment. We see in some institutions, actually, I believe it's at Eastern, we saw 1% enrollment increase up. Totally, their beds are at 92% capacity. There's nobody that's over the 10%. So I'm cautiously optimistic that those sort of targets that we set will be met. If not, institutions will come under that, come in under that amount. At the colleges, as you know, it's too soon to really understand where we are. We've been receiving a lot of inquiries and a lot of folks that have started the application process. And so our challenge now is to make sure that folks are able to get from the initial application process through the registration process. The PAC deadline was yesterday, and so by the board meeting next time, we will have more substantive information on what the PAC numbers look like. But all in all, assuming that we stay on the path we're on, and that the virus in Connecticut continues not to spike. As I said, I'm very cautiously optimistic, but I'm also cautious in understanding that at any one moment the virus could spike. The public health guidance has changed for residential students based on the governor's directive on out-of-state visitors, and we will be revising that today to hopefully send out later today or tomorrow. Understanding that what we send out today or tomorrow could change based on the protocols that we are following from the Department of Public Health and the public health experts on the team. So, with that, I will conclude my report, Mr. Chairman, and happy to entertain any questions committee might have.
Regents, any questions? Okay. I wanted to just ask you to remark on the statements that we've put out concerning federal policy on students from other countries. And I know that we've on, what should I say, moral grounds, taken a very strong position on that. And indeed, that has shifted. Can you just remark on what that means in terms of the scale of our student population in our system?
Absolutely. I think in terms of our system, we could be talking about a few thousand students. Many of these students, in terms of financial projections, are full pay students, and so in terms of our revenue projections, had these students not been able to attend our institutions in the fall, it would have contributed to our financial decline that we are anticipating for the for the universities and the colleges. The other issue I will raise that we're starting to see some information come in on that could affect our financial projections as well is the fall sports protocols, and in some cases the cancellation by conferences that our universities participate in. They have canceled fall sports, and so what does that mean for students who may not be coming now because they're not able to participate in intercollegiate athletics. I know, for example, at Central, we were talking. I know there's a call I think this week on their conference about what they intend to do. But in conversations with President Tora, we're talking about in excess of 500 students who, once again, are mostly full pay and may choose not to come to campus, to live on campus, and to take courses at least in the fall. So this is all very, very fluid, and I would anticipate we would have a much clearer projection for the Finance Committee meeting before the board meeting, and then a much more extensive conversation at the board meeting at the end of July.
Okay. In the last finance presentation, there was discussion on the cost side over and above all the COVID-related expenses. But just structurally in the system, there's state negotiated pay increases taking effect that added up to a significant amount and appeared to contribute significantly to the projected deficit under any circumstances. Have there been any discussions about whether those are appropriate or viable given where we seem to be headed financially in the system?
Well, in terms of conversations between the governor's administration and CBAC, I am not privy to those ongoing conversations, if they are any. I believe everybody has seen the governor's, statement that he does not believe he is the executive authority to cancel or delay scheduled and bargained wage increases. We are not having separate conversations with our collective bargaining unions about these issues. We believe that we need to be part of the overall administration's approach to these issues. But you are correct, Mr. Chairman, these financially, these increases are significant. And they began on July 1st. I don't have the specific numbers in front of me. I'm sure Ben does if folks want the specific breakdown by constituent unit. But it does contribute to our projected deficit for this current fiscal year that we're in. Ben, do you have the specific numbers at your disposal?
I don't have it by institution, but in general, it's
By unit, maybe, yeah, by like universities, colleges.
yes. Yes, it's approximately $12 million for the universities and slightly smaller number for the universities. So it ends up being a little over, I mean, for the colleges, it ends up being a little over $20 million in total cost of those raises for the bargaining units.
Thank you.
For the fiscal year?
That's for fiscal 21.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Any further discussion? Yes, please. Who's that?
Matt, it's Naomi. I just wanted, maybe I missed this when Mark was talking about the athletics. Do we have students who are on athletic scholarships? And if so, if we don't play, do they lose their scholarships?
I believe, and I will have to get that specific answer to you. I think scholarships are only awarded in Division I, which I could be wrong about.
Which would be central,
which would be
right?
only central, correct. And I'm not sure what happens if the conference cancels the season, but we can get that answer for you for sure.
Mark, it's Ben. I know the answer to that question. So
good.
For me yesterday.
Okay, thank you.
I happen to know the answer to that one. And I know, at least in the case of Southern, who is anticipating their conference to likely shut down, that it is their expectation that they will honor any scholarships that have been provided to athletes related to that. I think there are some limited scholarships that they provide. And the other issue that's related to that is that the NCAA has indicated that if the conference is canceled more than half the expected number of games in any sport, that the year will not count toward the eligibility for amateur participation in NCAA competition. So most students will get will not use up a year of eligibility if the seasons are canceled.
Ben, at Central, though, what happens with the scholarship? Because they do have a lot of students on scholarship, athletes on scholarship there. Do they still get the scholarship and then they're eligible for another year of scholarship?
I believe that that's correct. Yes, they would still get the scholarship. Their conference is not canceled.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. If are there any other questions for this portion of the meeting from members of the board or comments of the committee? Okay, hearing none. we can conclude that discussion. Thanks for the update. We look forward to the particulars and further discussion when we meet with the full board. Now I'd like to ask that the committee move to executive session for the purposes of a discussion concerning the appointment or evaluation of a public officer or employee. No votes naturally will be taken. President Erjakian, Andy Kripp, and Aaron Fitzgerald, please remain with the executive session. There won't be any discussion, action, or votes by the committee after the executive session, so I'll merely be alerting the secretary that we have concluded, and she will then formally notice that the meeting's being adjourned. So that would be the only action following the executive session is the declaration of adjournment by the chair, and there are no agenda items for after the executive session.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just, it'll just be myself. Andy will not be joining us in executive session.
Gotcha. Thank you for the correction.
Nope, thank you.
So I'm going to request a motion to go into executive session.
It's Naomi, so moved.
This is Elise, second.
Thank you, Naomi and Elise, for the first and the second. All in, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion's approved, and we'll go into executive session, which means I believe we are signing off of this session. And
Yes, sir.
the exec committee has separate instructions for the next session. Correct, Aaron?
That's correct.
Okay.
All
Hope to
right.
see you on the other side.
Yes. Oh, Mark, you're on the line?
Hi, Aaron.
Hi. What I'm going to do is make you host as of right now. Well, do you want me to wait until we have everybody on the line?
Sure.
Okay.
And then I think you're going to make Matt the host.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, it'll be Matt the
Because if they
host.
want to discuss amongst themselves.
They do. Yep.
So, yeah.
So we'll wait. Hi, Elise. How are you? Nice seeing you on the other side. We're just waiting for your colleagues. Rich Balducci, I've been communicating with him.
Yeah, I'm on this one. I'm hoping I can get on the other, the next one.
Oh, great. Rich, you did join. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, hang up and then join the other one. That's what you received this morning that said 10:30.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Hi, Matt. I see you're on the call.
Aaron,
Yes,
this is the 10:30 one, correct?
that's correct.
Oh, because I thought that you just told Rich to hang up.
Because he's still on the, I have both calls open right now because I'm gonna go back on the other one and let people know when it adjourns.
Okay, okay.
David, are you on the call? I see
This is Naomi.
Oh, great, Naomi. Thank you.
All right, we're still on the first call, correct, Aaron?
Yes, but Rich, you can hang up that now.
Yeah.
Hang up and then dial in. What you're hearing me now is in the executive session. So I'm going to, if you could hang up and dial back on the 10:30 call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on. Come on. I can't seem to get out of this phone call. Are you, somebody hanging up?
I will, all you have to do, Rich, is you see that if you put your, are you on a phone or are you on a PC?
I'm on the phone and I'm trying to push the red X.
Yeah, that's all you should have to do. Let me,
Stays
okay.
red.
All right, let me end this then, because it looks like you're the only person on here.
No, I'm on here, but I dialed the
No,
10:30.
you're right. That's, Rich, let's see.
You want me to hang up and dial
No,
back in
no,
also,
Naomi,
Aaron?
you're doing it. You're just perfect there. So